Let's look at some of the spline modeling tools. First, I'm going to create a line. Alright. Let's look at the vertex types. So for each vertex you can set its type to corner, smooth, bezier, or bezier corner. So the corner is the default type, and it's actually exactly what the name says. A sharp corner with straight lines going out of it. You can also set it to smooth and it will try to round it slightly. I almost never use smooth because it offers almost no control over the smoothing. I usually use the bezier type. And when using the bezier, you have these two handles going out of the vertex here, and you can adjust them to control the smoothing of the vertex. So this gives you much more control. And the bezier corner is pretty similar to bezier, but you can also move the control handles separately. This way you can have your corner and the lines going out of it can curve in different ways. Okay, so let's look at the spline editing tools. So the first tool I usually use is the Refine, and it basically allows you to add some more vertices to the line. Just click on the already created line and it adds another vertex there. Pretty simple. Alright. Next comes the weld. For example, if you would have more than one vertex here and you want to get rid of these unneeded vertices, you would simply increase the weld threshold so it's larger than the distance between the vertices and click weld button. And it welds them together. Works the same way as with editable polys. And then you have your fillet and chamfer tools. These are a great way to deal with corners. The fillet rounds the corner with a perfectly radiused curve. So it basically creates a part of a perfect circle. Or at least tries to. And the chamfer simply cuts off the corner and splits the vertex into two. Right, now let's look at the spline interpolation. The interpolation setting controls how smooth is the curve between two vertices. So for example, if you have set the steps to 6, each curved segment between two vertices will have six invisible vertices on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you decrease the number, you will see it better. So just 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you can set your curve to be pretty smooth by increasing this value here to a high level. So if you're just creating a line to apply some modifiers to it, for example bevel profile or extrude or regular bevel, then you usually want to set the interpolation steps to a high value so you can't see any sharp edges here and everything looks nice and smooth. But if you plan to use your curve for a different purpose, for example converting it to editable poly, creating a nice mesh here and editing it further before applying Turbo Smooth, you want to set the steps to a pretty low value. And if some of the curves have enough vertices but some of them have too little, you can select the ones with too little and divide them, for example, into 1 or 2 segments, just so the vertex distribution is a bit more even here. Right, and when you convert to editable poly, sorry, let's delete that bevel modifier and convert to editable poly. And as you can see, you have a pretty manageable amount of vertices to work with. You can connect them, cut them, and work like with the regular editable poly. But if you would set the interpolation steps to a high value and convert to editable poly, you would get these hundreds of vertices and it would be pretty much impossible to do any sort of mesh work with this object. Okay, so I forgot to show you one tool for the spline editing. It's very useful if you want to combine multiple types of spline primitives. For example, you want to cut out this perfect circle from this rectangle. First, you have to attach both splines together. Let's collapse to editable spline and attach together. Now when you access the spline sub-object level, you can use the trim tool. It's pretty useful to cut things off. For example, if you click here, this segment will disappear. And now when you click here, this lower part will also disappear. Now you can simply weld these vertices together. Even though it looks like there is only one vertex here, if you select and move it, you will see that there are two occupying the same space. So you have to weld them together to get a continuous line. Just increase the threshold, weld, and same here. This is a pretty easy way to cut some parts out from your spline. So for example, if you want to cut off this line here, just use the create line tool, enter the spline sub-object, and trim away. Right, so that's about it for the spline modeling tools. These are the ones I use the most.